Hey everyone, welcome back to the Archangel 15. Wanted to throw in a quick little presentation on the legend of King Arthur. Much of the information in this presentation is going to be based on this book I just read, King Arthur, the true story, the truth behind the romance and legends of Excalibur, the Holy Grail, and the site of the real Avalon by Graham Phillips and Martin Keatman. Uh, right off the bat, I want to say that it's really intriguing. The persona of King Arthur, they're not even really sure whether the guy really existed or not. There's a lot of stuff out there, but a lot of it's sketchy at best. I would say it falls into three categories typically. One third of it is folklore, and basically stuff out of kids' books. Kind of get to that in a minute here. Another third of it is somewhat factual, almost as if he was a delegate on behalf of UK, Great Britain, whatever. Stuff that actually sounds factual. And then a third of it is based on I guess romance, almost like Shakespeare stuff with him and Guinevere. I'm gonna get to that as well. I started reading more and more, and there was stuff that I found out that I never had knew about. I probably everybody here remembers hearing this, the Sword in the Stone. Before I go into that, I just want to say I'm really starting to get fed up with the whole social network stuff here with YouTube. I mean, not to knock on them, they allow my presentations to stay up, but I can tell you that I've gone into my intros, I've gone into the titles, and stuff has been changed. They try to make it look like I'm misspelling words, and I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart that these people, somebody's going in and messing with my stuff. My views, there's times where I've actually watched my views disappear, and there's not even that many of them to begin with. So it's somebody intentionally is just trying to mess with me, and it's probably just a matter of time before you're even able to before it's taken down completely. They're going to say I violated something on their health policy, whatever. But this is my 201st video on this channel. I don't know if I'll make it to 300 or not, but thank you for the viewership that I do have, sincerely from the bottom of my heart. And like I said, if you like my videos, I recommend that you download them before they go away. And I've been looking to get out of here, various places. I'd love someday to do a tour of all of Asia. That for some reason there's other countries they try to push me towards, ones that the United Nations has a real strong foothold in. If you even look to go to Korea, you used to be able to look to go to North Korea, its borders completely closed, not accepting anything. If you look at the travel agencies, you'll get some guys from Quantic or from Langley, they're pretty much not even fronting about it. They're CIA people. They control any of the phone numbers. You can't even get a hold of anybody in the country. It's that deep. My ex-girlfriend Lidima lives in Khabarovsk, right on the border. I don't really talk to her anymore. But definitely some shady stuff going on in that area, and Japan as well. I'm not going to get into that any further. So let's get back to the heart of this presentation. King Arthur, his name was Arthur Pendragon. There's various family trees that actually almost show that there is a lineage. I do believe that they know this, and for some reason they keep this information suppressed. Some of these people are probably in the limelight today, probably under different surnames. I don't know. Don't really care too much. The first part of the book was really interesting to me, and then it got to be honest with you, it just didn't do anything for me. The stuff about England and other things, got into some other really interesting figures. But I'm not really interested in that, to be honest with you. It doesn't interest me at all, the Asian stuff, Asian history, which is way more immense and more beautiful in my opinion, and stuff with the Russian history as well, which kind of ties into the Asian, and also the Persian stuff. So like I said, there's this huge debate as to whether the guy even really existed. Some people say that this is all pie in the sky, and it's not even real. And okay, so we all remember, probably we were in grade school sometime and hearing about the Sword in the Stone, the legend of the Sword in the Stone. And supposedly there was a sword that was embedded in a rock, and that all these huge strong men and big people attempted to take it out. And the one and only King Arthur, as a boy, he wasn't king then, he took it out, and this sword is known as Excalibur. It was a huge part of this book. So they would basically put a connection together that almost all of King Arthur's powers and abilities, this magic almost, existed from this one sword, Excalibur. And they at the end, supposedly he went off to this mysterious Avalon Island, this mystical place. Some people say it's near the UK. like an island there, and other people say it's like somewhere like maybe like the Azores. I personally believe with my alchemy that it's somewhere near the Canary Islands, if it really did exist. I do believe that this is true. I think some of this stuff probably falls closer to the folklore, but like I look at my stuff, like I've done interesting things with lightning, I've done amazing things with cloud formations, the wind, and like who knows what they'll say, like who knows. I'm not going to get into it any further. But yeah, they cast this into a lake. King Arthur's dying wish when he went to Avalon Island was to cast this into a lake, and and one of the knights threw it into the lake, and before it even hit the water, a hand, syphilid, supposedly grabbed it and took it down to the depths, and it was like a domage to like the water, or to the like some type of female water god or something like that, and they say that one day Arthur will return. There's a real if you get, I'll probably post a link to this in the intro. You must watch the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. They're actually at Petra, an amazing structured place in Jordan. I would love to go there. Not far from Israel. If you go to Israel, you can visit Jordan in the same trip usually, but probably even cooler than a lot of the stuff in Israel. But this huge building. It's carved out of solid rock. They couldn't do it today probably if they wanted to. But Indiana Jones and his father Sean Connery go into his final scene with the Nazis. And it's all about the Holy Grail, and like it's just like the whole movie based about the conquest of the Grail, and like what is the Grail? Is it like a bloodline? Is it the cup that it supposedly gets into like the cup that Jesus had at the Last Supper? I'm gonna get into that towards the end here. Pictured in the famous Leonardo da Vinci painting, but the book goes on to explain it deeper. That like it really, like they say it actually wasn't a cup, but it was like a saucer, like a plate. Something like that, I guess they drank out of. So I have different scientific opinions of it. They're almost not appropriate for this channel, so I'm not going to get into that. But it really represents a woman's body, like a woman's like reproductive system or uterus, and like it's like it gets into the Trinity, like Father, Son, and Spirit in one, and I'm not going to go into that, but another interesting thing is the Grail. They used to spell it Graal, not Grail. And I find it really interesting, like the heavy A, and like I said, like get into like linguistics, Allah, Alleluia, like Jesus often called his father Allah, and the AA, really interesting there. And there's just so many other things that are just really cool. The whole persona of this. There's a really amazing movie that also has Sean Connery in it. First Night, amazing movie. If you've never seen it, you must watch it. I think it was in like the late '90s, and it's just a really good movie. And gets into the Knights of the Round Table in Camelot. And Camelot was like their like city where the castle was or whatever. And like there's I guess historical evidence and proof of this. And some people say the guy was king of Atlantis. Some people say he was an extraterrestrial. Some people say he was an immortal. Some people say that he really didn't die, that he like almost sits in this room or like somewhere and he's going to like return again, almost like some kind of like something that defies our understanding of I guess physics and time and physiology of human beings. If you watch the movie, like I said, that clip, which I'm going to post in the intro to Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, I believe that's King Arthur. They never said his name was Arthur. He was just known as like a knight, but it's definitely like King Arthur. And so like there's this scene, it builds up. Like I have to kind of mention this. So like this Nazi, Eloise, or I forget her name, Elsa, Harrison Ford, and he said like, then he says he like puts this warning out: do not cross the seal, the Great Seal, and so anyhow, she goes and like she's looking at all like there's like 20-30 different cups, chalices, what have you, on this altar, and she, like there's this Nazi guy with her eyes, their blue eyes and her blonde hair just light up, and she's looking at him, and she goes and finds the one that has gems on it, and like the most magical, like the most beautiful one, and she like takes this holy water and drinks it, and like she starts to like basically rot away, and like starts like this. The other guy takes it, and like it starts like this huge parabolic chain reaction, and then like eventually Harrison Ford, Indy, he goes and he knows that if he picks the wrong one, it's gonna be bad. He picks the Carpenter Cup. It's like just carved out of wood, no gems on it at all. There's one that looks close to it. He almost grabs, but no. And they talk about it in this, and they said that the real one or the one that's mentioned in folklore, supposedly did have like amazingly precious gems on it, and like it was really, really, really interesting. And I like I said, the whole thing is just beyond intriguing. And like I said, he was like an immortal like Washington. There's this whole thing about Guinevere. Guinevere was supposedly his wife, Queen Guinevere or whatever, Princess Guinevere. And some people like debate as to like whether that was his first wife or second wife. And they actually say that his sister was Morgacy, supposedly, which I kind of like that name, the way it rolls off the, sounds almost like morgue or like something morbid or something. But Morgacy was his sister. Supposedly he had an incestuous daughter, Modred, with his sister. I find that to be really, really, really interesting, which is like, if like, this was all, like I said, the 5th and 6th century. So I would almost surmise that possibly like he was a descendant of Jesus Christ, almost like out of the Da Vinci Code. Like it's common knowledge that supposedly after Jesus, like I read about this in the Harmonic Conquest of Space, and there's a Basque region, it's called, between Spain and France, and supposedly Jesus survived the cross and went to that region and formed the Merovingian king bloodline. And like there really are people from France, ABRH negative, like come from this bloodline. It's real. But I think I have some in my family that are like scumbag pieces of you know what, and they probably think that they're gods, and they probably try to kill me off. I really believe they killed my cousin off, and like this power struggle, this inner power struggle, and they are incestuous. They actually married several people within the family. Like I said, I'm not going to name names, but this stuff is real. It's not just folklore. So some people paint Arthur as this messianic figure, like you know he was just like he couldn't tell no wrong, he couldn't do anything wrong, he just had wisdom unlike anybody else. Almost like they talk about with King Solomon, which I talked about. I dislike King Solomon and think a lot of his stuff really is folklore. Many people have hunted for his grave to like prove any kind of existence. There's people that believe that they found it and they found stuff, but there was like kind of like flaws in what they found. This one guy in the 1960s found something that he believed was it, and it like said something, I think said King Arthur on the tomb, but like they really haven't proven it beyond reasonable doubt. And like I said, there's the debate about Guinevere, and some accounts portray him as like an antagonist, like he was not a good person. Supposedly, like he killed a lot of Britons off, and there were these godlike figures, like mystics, that he killed as well. It was like a huge sacrament. And there's this other thing it talks about, the lapis exilis, which was a small stone that God banished the angels that didn't obey, like the fallen angels. Gets into like prophecy kind of stuff there. And the whole thing, the whole thing gets into like deep into like Druidism. There's just Merlin, like you've heard of Merlin, the magician. He's involved in all this as well. He was like the court magician, and I do believe that it's probably real and it was very, very plausible and possible. And like I said, I read it's a good book. I recommend checking it out. There's quite a few books out there on stuff like that. But what I'm starting to find with these books is who wrote them. Like, for instance, like if you ever want to get books on Asian history or anything related to Asia, it's always going to be either a German person or an English person that wrote it. Always, always, always. You can't ever get like a book from China that's like written from a real Chinese person or like real Asian person. And it's like, it's really scary and it really bothers me. Again, it gets deeper into like the whole CIA mind control agenda, essentially. But yeah, like I've talked about, like my last video I did about deep secrets. Like I didn't want to put this one in there because it's more congruent to this presentation. But the whole purpose, like couple of the deepest secrets. I told you about magic and theory and practice, and Aleister Crowley in there talks about one thing. It's like there's amazing and magical power, and is laying prostrate on the ground, and like basically beneath God. And like in front of the altar, actually. And like I have an altar right behind this, and I have a luminary candle with Christ on it, and I do this, and I've had amazing results. And you say, Father, if thou willingest, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, if not my will, thine be done. And this is like what Jesus said when he was being crucified. Like, I mean, imagine the agony. Imagine Mother Mary watching this happen. And he said this, and immediately an angel appeared to him and comforted him, like he was protected, and it was like almost like his body left, his soul left his body and transcended, and like allowed what to what to happen. Like I said, like the Bible tells us that he died and rose, the ascension, whatever. I'm not going to get into, but like a lot of people really disagree with that and say that he really went to France, in between France and Spain, and formed the Merovingian king bloodline. There's definitely people that have a striking resemblance. There's definitely people that have certain abilities. Leonardo da Vinci was potentially one of these people. Many others as well. And so the whole power in performing the Eucharist or whatever is just like it's called. There's different names for it. The Holy Communion, Communion and Holy Communion is what most people know it by. Most churches perform this the first Sunday of the month. They perform it with bread, to represent the body of Christ, and then traditionally it was wine, red wine. A lot of churches use like red grape juice. It doesn't really matter. It still symbolizes the blood of Christ that is where we achieve eternal salvation from. And there's like deeper meat elements of this. Like there's like I do this with my mother, and I've had amazing results with it. And like I kind of have my own little church services. Like I don't like any churches that I've gone to. There was one years ago, this Pentecostal church. The preacher passed away. She was amazing, Sister Strauser. And but yeah, like I recommend doing this if like you're getting into Christianity. And there's like at least 20, 30, 50, 100 Bible verses in the Bible that talk about like the body of Christ and blood. Like it's not just one. There's one in Matthew. I forget what it is. But the verse I just read, you Father, if thou willingest, there's in Luke it says it, and in Matthew it says it. Look those two up. Very, very, very important. Like the whole cornerstone of Christianity. And like essentially, like I really believe that these bloodlines did go on, and the Knights Templar, albeit whoever they are in modern life, maybe some of them were Freemasons, other people, they had this amazing gift that they were given. And they had, the ultimate test of power is who uses it and abuses it to manifest it for their own evil and greedy desires, and who upholds it and maintains it in accordance with God's true intent and will. And these people, the Masons and the Templar, pedophiles, they, realized they could, create a whole bunch of babies, they could sell them, and it was just these people lost their right to have the crown. And it's like there's a scene in a movie called Indecent Proposal, the end with this two double-headed coin that Woody Harrelson gives Demi Moore, and it says, if you love something, let it go, and if it comes back to you, it was meant to be. If it doesn't, it wasn't meant to begin with, or something like that. And like essentially I really believe that the Grail, like China, let it go, and they knew this has probably happened like hundreds of times in the past, like probably past worlds, and it's like a storybook that plays over and over again, like the Bible, like reoccurring themes. And like I really believe that they know it'll always come back to its rightful owner. It'll always come back. The Brits, the Europeans, they're all fixated on this. They think nobody's better than them. The Italians, but like I said, the whole storyline is much bigger. And like in Eastern philosophy and Eastern culture, it's not in their nature to be pretentious. It's not in their nature to enslave other people. It's not in their nature to push gunboat diplomacy and to go to every single country and be tyrants. And like I'm not going to name names, but like a lot of it really is the Bush's fault. Like it really manifested there. That there was the Dulles brothers in the United States, and it was like really they were the ones that pushed the gunboat philosophy and diplomacy as well. This is pretty much all I'm going to say. I'm already like 19 minutes. I really didn't even want to make it this long, but I can tell you, like I said, the whole thing about books being controlled. Like I said, like always look at who wrote the book and ask. When somebody I knew or once knew said, why did they write it? And most of the time it's to make money, and very few times do you find it the other way. I'm going to probably not do a whole lot of other presentations on here. I've said that like 6 times in the past. One time I actually did an official signing off, but I'm attempting to obtain some literature and material from Alexander Nevsky, amazing figure. The Russians have beat the Germans multiple times, and my old ex-girlfriend Little Mo used to always say, the Germans know, like she said this with great passion, the Germans know not even to try it again. And it's like the whole thing with Indiana Jones. It's like the Germans just keep coming back. Like they said, that they're like programmed to be like a demonic force or like evil or something like that. And like I really believe that this would played into Hitler's philosophy. He probably knew this. And then if you know your Bible, you'll know that God has a perpetual history of condemning the Jews. He literally comes down with brimstone and fire, not once, but like 12 times. And like, I mean, with great anger. I mean, he's almost destroyed the earth many times, condemned them, for idolatry behavior, all kinds of stuff. And eventually he's going to say enough is enough with these people. That's what I believe. I mean, like I said, that's just kind of my opinion. But if you're interested, like I said, look up the persona of Alexander Nevsky. There's like only a couple books on him. Most of them are probably in the Russian language. I know a little bit of Russian, but not enough to like bring you a whole full-out presentation to read a book. There's a video from the 1930s. Please watch it. You can search it right on YouTube. Alexander Nevsky. It's from 1938. It's in Russian, but a lot of it they don't really talk. It's like it shows the whole thing. There's this famous battle on ice scene between the Germans and the Russians. If you go to St. Petersburg, Russia, amazing place. One of my favorite places in the entire world, like no other. There's Nevsky Prospect. It's like one of the main streets, and the Gorsky is another one. Really, really amazing energy there. Alexander Nevsky, an amazing figure, and like Russia has a lot to owe to him. But yes, the persona and legend of King Arthur nonetheless lives on. I hope you have enjoyed this. As always, thanks for your time on the Archangel 15. Take care, folks.